There are moments in life when we feel like we've hit a wall, times when decisions seem impossible, when the weight of uncertainty presses down so hard that we can barely breathe. It's in these moments that we often reach for solutions, advice from friends, endless scrolling for answers, overthinking every possible outcome. But what if, before all of that, we did something different? What if instead of making prayer our last resort, we made it our first instinct? The world teaches us to act, to figure things out, to push forward. We are told to rely on intelligence, strategy, and sheer willpower. But what if the true power isn't in the pushing, but in the pausing? What if the breakthrough isn't in figuring things out, but in surrendering first? Every great journey starts with direction. Every wise decision begins with clarity. And true peace is never found in the noise of the world, but in the stillness of divine presence. Seeking the face of the one who created the universe is not a sign of weakness. It's the greatest act of wisdom, because in that seeking we find what no human wisdom can give: purpose, strength, and a peace that defies logic. Think about the times you've rushed into things. Those moments when emotions took over, when fear made you reactive, when pride made you believe you had all the answers. Now think about the times you waited, when you prayed first, when you sought wisdom before action. There is a difference, isn't there? One leads to frustration, the other to fulfillment. One leaves you drained, the other leaves you empowered. No one gets through life without storms. There will be days when the weight of uncertainty makes you question everything. But you were never meant to carry that weight alone. You were never meant to navigate this life with just your own understanding. There is a path, a purpose, and a power greater than anything you could ever imagine. But you will only find it when you stop trying to control everything and start seeking first what truly matters. So the next time you feel lost, the next time you stand at a crossroads, the next time fear whispers lies into your soul, don't panic. Don't rush. Don't rely on human wisdom alone. Stop. Breathe. Pray first. Seek the one who knows the way. And when you do, you won't just find answers, you'll find peace, you'll find strength, and most of all, you'll find the unwavering presence of the one who has been guiding you all along. There is a habit that could change everything in your life, yet it is often overlooked. A simple shift, a conscious decision, a quiet surrender that has the power to bring clarity where confusion reigns, strength where weakness overwhelms, and peace where anxiety lingers. It is the habit of seeking before striving, of praying before planning, of turning to the divine before turning to the world. Too often we wait until we are drowning to ask for help. We wrestle with problems in our own strength, exhaust every possible solution, and only when we have nothing left, we whisper a desperate prayer. But what if we started differently? What if instead of waiting until we are at the edge of breaking, we sought divine wisdom first? What if prayer wasn't our emergency exit, but our daily entrance into the presence of the one who holds the answers? The world teaches us to be self-reliant, to hustle, to figure things out on our own, but relying solely on human understanding is like trying to navigate an unfamiliar road in the dark. You may move, but are you truly going the right way? Seeking divine guidance first is like switching on the headlights. Suddenly the road becomes clear. The obstacles you couldn't see before come into view, the distractions fade, and the direction becomes unmistakable. Think about the moments in life when worry consumed you, when your heart raced with uncertainty, when you carried burdens too heavy for your soul. Now imagine the difference if, in that very moment, you had stopped, closed your eyes, and surrendered it all in prayer. Imagine the peace that would have washed over you, the wisdom that would have filled your heart, the strength that would have replaced your fear. This is not about waiting for life to force you to your knees. It's about choosing to bow before you ever feel like falling. It's about training your heart to seek before you speak, to listen before you act, to trust before you tremble. When prayer becomes your first response rather than your last resort, you don't just react to life, you rise above it. You don't just survive the storms, you walk through them with unshaken confidence, knowing you are not alone. So let this be the shift, the awakening, the moment when everything changes. When the world tells you to move, pause. When your mind urges you to figure it out, kneel. When uncertainty clouds your vision, close your eyes and seek the one who sees it all. Because when you pray first, everything else follows in its rightful place. There is a kind of wisdom that doesn't come from rushing, a clarity that doesn't emerge from noise. In a world that glorifies speed and urgency, there is an untapped power in stillness. The temptation to react quickly, to force an answer, to chase a solution is strong. But what if the real breakthrough is not in moving faster, but in pausing first? What if the answers we desperately seek are found not in the whirlwind of overthinking, but in the quiet surrender of seeking divine wisdom before taking a single step? Too often we let our emotions dictate our decisions. We speak before we reflect, we act before we understand, and we rush ahead without first aligning ourselves with the truth. But when we pause to seek divine presence first, something shifts. The anxiety that once clouded our thoughts settles into calm. The fear that made us feel powerless fades into trust. The pressure to have it all figured out is replaced with the realization that we were never meant to carry the weight of the world alone. Think about the choices you regret the most. Were they made in stillness or in haste? Were they the product of deep reflection, or were they driven by fear, pride, or impulse? When we act without seeking, we often find ourselves wandering in circles, fixing mistakes we could have avoided, dealing with consequences that prayer could have prevented. But when we learn to pause before we proceed, we open ourselves to wisdom that is greater than our own. We see the situation through a higher lens, one that reveals not just what is immediate, but what is truly important. Stillness is not passivity, it is not inaction, it is the most powerful preparation for movement. When we take time to seek before we step, we are not wasting time, we are investing in clarity. We are making room for divine direction to guide our path, for wisdom to fill our hearts, and for peace to go before us. It is in this sacred pause that strength is renewed, burdens are lifted, and purpose becomes undeniable. Life will always demand urgency, but we must learn the discipline of divine timing. Not every battle is ours to fight. Not every opportunity is meant to be chased. Not every path is meant to be walked. There are doors that only wisdom can open, and roads that only seeking first can reveal. When we pause before acting, when we seek before speaking, when we listen before leaping, we are not delaying life, we are aligning ourselves with a plan far greater than our own. And in that alignment, we find the peace, purpose, and power we've been searching for all along. There is a longing in every heart for something deeper, something beyond what the world can offer. We chase success, relationships, and achievements, hoping they will fill the spaces within us. But no matter how much we gain, something always feels incomplete. The reason is simple. We were never meant to find our purpose in temporary things. The answers we seek, the peace we crave, the direction we so desperately need can only be found when we lift our eyes beyond the distractions and seek what truly matters. Too often we treat life as if we are the ones in control, relying on our own strength to navigate a path we didn't create. We make decisions based on logic, emotions, or the expectations of others, only to find ourselves exhausted, confused, and searching for meaning. But what if, before chasing outcomes, we sought the presence of the one who already knows the way? What if we didn't just ask for success, but first aligned ourselves with a greater purpose? What if instead of seeking validation from the world, we sought clarity from the source of all wisdom? There is no peace in a life led by uncertainty, no fulfillment in a path guided by mere human understanding. The world can give temporary happiness, but true purpose comes from something greater. It is found in the quiet moments of surrender, in the act of seeking first before striving. It is in those moments that fear is replaced by faith, that confusion is transformed into confidence, and that direction is revealed with unmistakable clarity. Think about the moments when you felt most lost, most restless, most uncertain. Were they not the times when you relied solely on your own strength? Now, think about the moments when you sought guidance first, when you paused to pray, when you let go of control and allowed wisdom beyond your own to lead the way. There is a difference, isn't there? One path leaves you exhausted, constantly striving but never arriving. The other fills you with an unshakable peace, a knowing that no matter what comes next, you are exactly where you are meant to be. The greatest decisions are not made in chaos but in communion. The deepest fulfillment is not found in achievements but in alignment. When we seek first what is eternal, everything else falls into place. The direction we once struggled to find becomes clear, the burdens we once carried become lighter, and the purpose we once questioned becomes undeniable. Because when we make prayer our priority, when we seek first before we step, we don't just live life. We live it with clarity, confidence, and a peace that surpasses all understanding. Emotions are powerful. They can lift us to great heights or pull us into deep turmoil. In moments of uncertainty, fear whispers lies, pride demands control, and impatience urges us to act before we think. We react, we rush, we try to fix things on our own, believing that movement is always better than waiting. But how many times have we looked back and wished we had paused? How many decisions made in the heat of emotion have led to regret? When we allow emotions to lead, we often walk into storms we were never meant to face. Fear convinces us that time is running out, that we must act now, that we must take control. Pride tells us that we don't need guidance, that we already know best. Impatience makes us settle for what is easy rather than waiting for what is right. But wisdom is never found in haste, and clarity is never born from chaos. The most powerful decisions are not made in moments of panic, but in moments of prayer. Imagine standing at a crossroads, unsure of which way to go. One road is paved with urgency, leading to immediate results but uncertain consequences. The other road requires patience, faith, and trust in something greater than yourself. The world will always push you toward the first path, convincing you that action is the only way forward. But the truth is, some of the worst mistakes are made not because we lacked intelligence, but because we lacked patience. Not because we didn't have options, but because we didn't seek the right one first. Think of the times when you reacted out of anger, when you made a choice out of desperation, when you spoke words you later wished you could take back. Now think of the times when you paused, when you sought guidance first, when you chose wisdom over impulse. There is a difference, isn't there? One path leads to regret, the other to peace. One drains you, the other strengthens you. One traps you in cycles of frustration, the other sets you free. Prayer is not about avoiding action. It is about aligning your heart before taking a step. It is the space between reaction and response, between chaos and clarity. It is where emotions are surrendered and wisdom is received. Because when we pray first, we don't just make decisions, we make the right ones. When we seek guidance first, we don't just move, we move with purpose. And when we trust before we act, we don't just avoid regret, we step into a life of peace, direction, and unwavering confidence in the path we are walking. Life can feel heavy. There are days when the weight of responsibility, uncertainty, and fear presses so hard on your soul that you wonder how much more you can carry. You try to hold it all together, convincing yourself that you are strong enough, that you can figure it out, that you don't need help. But deep down, you feel it, the exhaustion, the frustration, the silent cry for relief. We live in a world that tells us to be self-sufficient, to handle our struggles alone, to wear strength like armor and never let anyone see our weakness. But what if true strength isn't found in carrying it all, but in knowing when to lay it down? There is a limit to human strength, but no limit to divine power. You were never meant to bear every burden on your own. You were never meant to fight every battle with only your own wisdom. There is a place where exhaustion meets renewal, where fear dissolves into peace, where burdens are lifted from your shoulders, and that place is found in seeking first the presence of the one who carries what we cannot. Think about the times you have struggled in silence, believing that if you just pushed a little harder, if you just worked a little longer, if you just kept holding on, everything would be okay. But what if relief isn't found in pushing harder, but in surrendering sooner? What if the strength you need isn't something you can manufacture, but something you receive when you choose to trust first? We mistake control for power, thinking that if we just manage every detail, we can prevent things from falling apart. But control is an illusion, and the more we cling to it, the more drained we become. True power comes in surrender, not in giving up, but in giving over. It comes in realizing that you don't have to have all the answers because there is a greater wisdom available to you. It comes in understanding that you don't have to walk through the fire alone because there is a strength beyond your own ready to carry you. When we pray first, we don't just find solutions, we find peace. When we seek first, we don't just gain direction, we gain confidence. When we release our burdens in faith, we don't just survive life, we thrive in it. Because the weight you've been carrying was never meant to be yours alone. The battle you've been fighting was never meant to be won in your own strength. And the peace you've been longing for has always been waiting in the quiet place, where surrender turns into strength and trust leads the way forward. Every journey begins with a direction. Every choice we make shapes the path we walk. Yet, how often do we rush forward without stopping to ask if we are heading the right way? How many times do we trust our own understanding only to find ourselves lost, wandering through obstacles we were never meant to face? Life is full of crossroads, and in those moments we can either rely on our limited sight or seek the wisdom of the one who sees the entire road ahead. There is something powerful about seeking first before stepping. It is not hesitation, it is wisdom. It is not inaction, it is alignment. Too often we are in such a hurry to move that we don't even question if we are moving in the right direction. We mistake urgency for progress, busyness for purpose, and movement for meaning. But without guidance, we could be running toward the very thing we should be avoiding. Seeking first is not about slowing down. It is about making sure that when you do move, you're going exactly where you are meant to be. Think about the moments in your life when things felt uncertain. Maybe you stood at the edge of a big decision, feeling the weight of a choice that could change everything. Maybe you were caught between two paths, unsure of which one to take. Maybe you were simply tired of feeling lost, exhausted from making decisions that never seemed to lead to peace. Now imagine if in those moments, instead of overthinking, instead of rushing, instead of trying to control everything, you paused, you sought first, you turned your heart toward wisdom greater than your own. What difference would that have made? There is a calm that comes when you know you are walking the right path. There is confidence in stepping forward when you have first knelt in prayer. There is a peace in knowing that no matter what challenges arise, you are exactly where you are meant to be. The world tells you to go, to chase, to figure it out as you move. But wisdom whispers, seek first. Clarity is not found in running aimlessly. It is found in stopping long enough to ask for the right direction. When you pray first, you don't just make decisions, you make divine choices. When you seek first, you don't just move, you move with purpose. And when you trust first, you don't just walk, you walk with an unshakable confidence that every step is leading you exactly where you are meant to go. Because every great journey starts with direction, and the only way to truly know where you're going is to seek the one who has already prepared the way. Life will always present challenges, crossroads, and moments of uncertainty. There will be days when you feel strong, confident, and sure of your path, and there will be days when everything feels overwhelming, when doubt creeps in, when the weight of decisions feels too heavy to carry. But no matter where you are in your journey, there is one truth that never changes. Seeking first will always lead you to where you are meant to be. The world tells you to rely on yourself, to push forward without pausing, to figure it all out on your own. But how many times has that left you feeling exhausted? How many times have you chased things that looked right in the moment only to realize they led you nowhere? When you move without seeking first, you may find temporary success, but you will never find lasting peace. Because peace is not found in control, in achievements, or in having all the answers. It is found in surrender, in trust, in the quiet moments where you release your worries and open your heart to wisdom greater than your own. Imagine how different your life could be if before every decision you paused, if before reacting you sought wisdom, if instead of carrying every burden alone, you chose to lay it down in faith. Imagine the peace that would fill your heart, the clarity that would guide your steps, the confidence that would replace your fear. This is not about waiting for life to force you to your knees. It is about choosing to bow before you ever feel like falling. It is about making prayer your first instinct, not your last resort. It is about seeking before striving, trusting before worrying, aligning before acting. The storms of life will come, but they do not have to shake you. The uncertainties of tomorrow may be unknown, but they do not have to scare you. Because when you seek first, when you pray before you plan, when you align yourself with wisdom greater than your own, you do not just survive life, you walk through it with a strength and peace that cannot be shaken. So from this moment forward, let there be a shift. Let prayer be the foundation of every step, the beginning of every decision, the first response in every moment of uncertainty. Let seeking first be the habit that transforms your life. Because when you pray first, when you seek first, when you trust first, everything else falls into place exactly as it was meant to be.